What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about the latest data download that just happened here on One Piece Treasure Cruise. And this is a data download that we have been waiting for quite a long time, with the introduction of not only just a super evolution, but one of the more important super evolutions in the game, talking about the introduction of the first 6+ dual legend in One Piece Treasure Cruise. This is a long time coming, so we're hoping for big things, and I think that they have delivered. This unit does look to be very, very powerful. Before we get into that though, this is the introduction of a brand new Kizuna Clash Sugo Fest. Obviously at the end of Treasure Map we have the Kizuna inevitably, and I'm not going to be talking about the Kizuna in this video. I will delay that to another video because I want to talk about the more important information first, which is the introduction of the new super evolution of Dog and Cat, which is just crazy to think about. I can't even believe we're actually getting dual units, man. That's insane. So anyways, this is what we have. This is what we have in terms of the artwork. I was hoping it was going to be extended artwork, but I'm really happy that they opted to go for the Sulong artworks for these two characters here together in one. Before we actually jump into the breakdown of their abilities, just something to note is that they only need 3 skulls in order to super evolve, but you do need the generic yellow and red skulls, which is kind of interesting. These skulls have not been important for a very long time, so I do think that's kind of interesting that they're now kind of going back on to these old skulls. So if they're going to be introducing these super evolutions for dual units, I'm perfectly okay with them doing this. This is awesome. So before we actually jump into the breakdown of the new 6+ Cat Dog, let's actually just have a brief look at this unit. Now, I actually did make a video talking about the Legends of OPTC with Dog and Cat recently, like in the past few weeks. So make sure you go ahead and check out that episode to see how they were exactly used on their debut. But Dog and Cat were a really, really exciting character. Their dual captain effect, going from a 3.5 to 4 times based on your tap timing, this does change with their super evolution. Also, you receive recovery for every perfect that you hit, and also making strength and psi slots matching. Another thing to note is that their captain ability only focuses on Cerebral and Striker. And then you've got the Solo Dog Captain, which gives a higher boost to Cerebral characters, and then a lower boost to Strikers. And then you've got the inverse with Cat Viper being a higher boost to Strikers, lower boost to Cerebral. The special ability gave an attack and color affinity boost, 1.75, to the 2 classes of Cerebral and Striker. And then if you hit the 2 perfects, you get the orb boost in the following turn. And then the switch ability itself, just removing paralysis by 1 turn for the whole crew, and removing Slopvine and Despair completely on themselves. That type of effect isn't super useful, but it can come up in niche circumstances. So that was a very brief rundown of Dog and Cat. There really wasn't a lot going on with their kit. It's a very basic kit. However, things change drastically with this super evolution, because not only do they super evolve, they also receive level limit break. In this video, we're going to be talking about the complete buffed abilities of this character. So what you see in this video is going to be the best possible outcome at level limit break 5. If you don't have them at level limit break 5, the abilities that you will actually get with this super evolution are going to be a lot weaker, right? Let's jump into it though. One thing that we can talk about straight away is the fact that the classes and colors don't change. So you've got Dogstorm, Strength / Cerebral. You've got Cat, which is Psi Striker Powerhouse. These are the exact same as before. And the solo captains, which we'll go through first. So this is Dogstorm's captain. You get -2 cooldown to themselves at the start of the quest, and then -2 cooldown to the whole crew at the start of the quest. Meaning, at the start, that this character themselves will have -4 cooldown, and if you add, sockets on top of that, that's -6. If you have a ship, it can be an additional 1, so it's like -7 cooldown at the start of the quest for themselves is very strong. Then it will go ahead and boost Slasher, Cerebral, Striker, and Powerhouse characters' attack and HP by 1.2, but the attack boost is a 4.75 with a matching slot, 4.5 otherwise, so they have scrapped the previous condition where it was based on tap timing, and now it is based on having a matching slot, which I think is far easier to achieve. Either way is fine. At the end of the day, as long as the multiplier is there, it's fine. But this is perfectly reasonable to me. On top of that, strength and recovery slots are going to be matching, and also a really cool effect at the bottom here. Now, I do know that this does change with level limit break, so you can see that at max capacity, it's going to reduce the entire crew's cooldown by 2 turns at the start of the 3rd stage. That is ridiculous. Again, if we go back to the example with all of the special cooldowns that you have, you start the quest at like -7 for this character, and then when you make it to, you know, stage 3, you get an additional -2, so it's like -9 cooldown for themselves. It's just wild, some of the stuff that this character can do. So that's Dogstorm's captain. Cat Viper's captain is essentially the same thing, except that it's going to be making psi and recovery matching instead of strength and recovery. The rest of the kit is the exact same, which is perfectly fine. Then you've got the dual captain. So the dual captain is, again, pretty much the same. You get the all cooldown shenanigans, which doesn't really matter, but it's a 5.25 times boost to the classes at hand, and strength, psi, and recovery are going to be beneficial, but the added effect of healing 2 times this character's recovery for every perfect at the end of the turn. So in their dual captain, they have a healing mechanic, which is not present in their solo captains. Either way, this is a really good effect. Then, in order to become that dual captain, you need to use their special. So the special ability of this character is also drastically different from what we saw before. Now, reduces the crew's attack down and chain reduction by 6 turns. There's not too often that you see an effect that reduces chain. It really doesn't happen that often. But the 6-turn attack down removal is really good. It also reduces the cooldown of Slasher, Cerebral, Striker, and Powerhouse, which are the same classes that they boost in their captain effect, by 1 turn, so -1 cooldown's pretty decent. It also boosts the attack and color affinity of those classes by 2.25 times for 1 turn, so big damage coming in with their special. And then it also will fuse them for 3 turns into their dual form. It further says, if you land 2 perfect strikes during that turn, it's going to give your Slasher, Cerebral, Striker, and Powerhouse characters a 2.5 times orb boost in the following turn. Very similar to what we saw before with the base version, where you get 1.75 attack and affinity, hit 2 perfects, you get a 2.25 orb boost. They've just done the same thing, but with higher numbers, which is pretty good. It does further say though, that if you already have an orb boost when you launch the special, it's going to give you a 2 times attack boost against defense down enemies for 3 turns. That bit doesn't make a lot of sense, because in order to actually get that, like, yeah, obviously there are ways to do it, and we'll talk more about it in a moment, but why randomly just give this character a defense down conditional boost when none of this kit has anything to do with defense down? There were some ideas floating around in the community where potentially, you know, you use this character with Kara and Wanda, who do defense down with their special. Potentially the global anniversary character, which is coming at the end of February, may have some synergy with this effect. We're not really too sure exactly how this is supposed to work, but at the end of the day, you get a defense down conditional boost just if you have an orb boost before you launch the special. It's a really weird effect. So overall, if we just give it a quick rundown, good utility at the top, cooldown reduction, color affinity, and an attack boost, and then if you hit 2 perfects, you get an orb boost. If you already have an orb boost, you get a conditional boost. Pretty good across the board, just upping the numbers and just adding a really cool couple of key effects there. Now, of course, we can't talk about a dual unit without talking about the main component of dual units being their switch effect. So luckily, with the introduction of the Super Evolution, this character does receive a Super Switch, which of course this character never had before. The base switch effect is going to give themselves a matching slot, which is another thing that this character didn't do before. And a lot of people didn't like that they didn't do that. You know, use their switch effect so often and you just don't get a matching slot. Now you get guaranteed, which is wicked. So you get the slot, you get reducing 1 turn of paralysis for the whole crew, which is very, very good, and then removes their slot bind and despair completely. So if they're using him as a captain, you can just use their switch effect to get rid of despair, which is pretty nice. And then removing slot bind is interesting at least. But then every time you switch, it gives them a 2 times orb boost for themselves. So of course you can use this in tandem with the special to get the conditional boost. And then if you have other characters to reduce defense, you can get some synergy in that fashion. Of course, their super switch, you only have to switch 4 times, which is another really cool effect. Now the super switch, in what's different, is that it reduces the entire crew's paralysis by 4 turns instead of just a single turn. And you still get the same utility of removing their own slot bind and despair, but now the orb boost, instead of being just for themselves, it's going to be for their classes of Slasher, Cerebral, Striker, and Powerhouse. So using their super switch and their special, you're going to be able to get the 2 times orb boost, 2.25 attack, 2.25 color affinity, and a 2 times attack boost against defense down. So if you just run another character that is able to apply the defense down, you get a pretty good set of skills just with 1 character and then 1 supporter unit to give defense down, right? So a lot of stuff happening. And then we have to, run it right back to the captain effect that has a lot of cooldown reduction. So this is going to be one of the best speed farming captains in the game. The only real unfortunate thing comparing this character to like the V2 dog and cat is that they don't go through defensive effects with normal attacks. That's a pretty big downside, of course. This character doesn't get access to that, but you can build this character without that in mind. You can still get some really nice effects going on, and the speed farming shenanigans that this character is going to get access to is quite incredible. So I think overall they've done a really good job with giving this guy some really solid upgrades, and I think this character is going to see some play moving forward into the future. Before we wrap up this video, we need to quickly discuss their Pirate Rumble abilities. So in Pirate Rumble, remember that this is a dual unit, so they're only classified as their classes. So they're Slasher and Cerebral, and their Rumble ability gives buffs to those two classes, and it's going to give them level 6 HP, and for the first 50 seconds only, Slasher Cerebral will get level 6 attack and level 6 speed, and themselves will get level 6 attack. So at the start of the quest, for the first 50 seconds, they have 6 HP, 12 attack, and 6 speed. So they themselves will have a lot of stats, right? For Cerebral, this is probably really good, but for Slasher, it's really hard to kind of fit a lot of characters onto the Slasher team because the Slashers are already very, very good. Let's have a look at the special though. 31 CT is a little on the high end, but it's right on the cusp. And it does a large frontal attack range of 2.5 times their attack, and then Slasher Cerebral will receive 7 attack and 2 times recovery for the team. I think this is probably going to see a little bit of a better fit on a Pirate Rumble team for Cerebrals. Cerebral already have a lot of really good legends that they can put on their squads, but I think that this unit will have a little bit of an easier time fitting onto Cerebral teams comparing to Slasher teams. While Slashers don't have really good defensive capabilities, you know, you could put this character onto those squads for some healing. You know, Slashers don't have good bulk in the first place, so adding some healing on top of it, I don't think it's really necessary. But overall, I'm pretty impressed with what they've done here. So let me know your thoughts and opinions about the super evolution of Dog and Cat. This is exciting, and it just opens the floodgates for what potentially they could do in the future for other, you know, dual units. So definitely let me know down below in the comment section, which dual unit are you looking forward to seeing getting a super evolution? Of course, a lot of people would like to say some of the more modern characters, but remember, there were some really good dual units back in the day that really need some support. You got Bato and Cavendish, Sanji and Judge, Luffy and Law, even the dual Big Mom with Prometheus and Zeus. That character with a modernized 6+ and level limit break could be absolutely busted. So I'm very, very excited for that. So thank you very much for watching the video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.